Guys, so now we're going to take a look at example game number 4, and if you didn't check out the article, if you didn't watch the deck tech, first off, what are you doing watching this? Go check those out right now. Second off, this will be the start of those bonus example games that I'm throwing on here. I didn't want to kind of clog up the article with a whole bunch, but I didn't want to let you guys down with a whole bunch of really short, couple minute long videos, and I wanted to add in some extra games. So this one I really wanted to showcase for two reasons. One, mostly the speed of the deck, if you're not already aware of that from the other games. And the second thing is a misplay I make that, as far as, I went for a win and I made a misplay. And I want you to be aware of this so that you do not do the same thing. This was something that I was aware of going into this game. I knew it, and as soon as you have one of those moments, right, where as soon as you make that mistake, you click the card, and as soon as you did it, you knew you screwed up. Had one of those moments. So my opponent starts by mulliganing down to 5. Definitely sucks for him. I think perhaps if he was able to keep a hand of 6 or 7, that I would have been in definitely worse shape than I was in this game. But opening hand is pretty good. We have 2 lands. We also have the Boggle available to us, as well as a number of enchantment spells. So now we have the ability here. If you caught my other game, I ran into some issues with choosing cards off of Terramorphic and Evolving. So what I'm going to do here is, playing correctly, I am going to start off with the Forest. On my turn, opponent starts by suspending Riftbolt, so he's clearly playing a burn strategy on this. But we're going to start off here with the Forest and play the Boggle. Now we want to be able to make sure that we can play on turn 3 the Ancestral Mask, or if we had an Armadillo Cloak, we want to be able to make sure that we do not miss that drop on turn 3. So we're going to need to do this correctly and play the Evolving Wilds on the next turn. Now this may seem like a hindrance. You may want to play the Plains so you can do Armor of Thorns because it is a bigger enchantment, but by doing this, by playing the Evolving Wilds on turn 2, we have the ability to play this Ancestral Mask on turn 3, and the overall, the net benefit is going to be much better. We do have the Briar Shield, so it's not like we're going to be without a play on turn 2. It's just not necessarily going to be the biggest play that was possible. A small sacrifice in the short game in order to reach the long game. So my opponent plays 2 Needle Drops on there. Great card for red deck wins kind of strategy because they do get that opportunity to draw a card, something you don't really get in red. So, going to do the Evolving Wilds here. We're going to fetch out another Forest. We already have a Plains in hand, so if we did manage to top into Armadillo Cloak, we're already set for that. At that point in time, once you have the 1 Plains available, you really don't need a second. You can just start fetching out all the Forests you can grab. So we're going to be able to attack through for 2. Another, kind of interesting thing, I was talking about the speed of this deck, so you run into kind of a showdown with red deck wins. They definitely have the ability to burn you out real fast, so it's almost a race to the finish, and like I said, it probably would have been a much different outcome if my opponent hadn't had to drop down to 5 cards. You'll see why in a minute or two here. So Spark Elemental hits me for 3. I put my Plains into play even though I did not get the Armadillo Cloak. It still gives me an ability to get this turn 3 Mask on, and now my Boggle is going to be 4. A 4/4 creature, and a turn my opponent gets down the Lightning Bolt to drop me down to 9, and this is where I could be in big trouble. I'm really benefiting here from the fact that my opponent only has 1 card in hand. The ability of red deck wins to do 9 damage to you usually isn't that hard. They have all kinds of things, the Lightning Bolts, the Elementals that can do that, and even worse, it seems that he drew into a land, so it's definitely not an ideal draw for my opponent here, but it's going to work out in my favor. So hit land drop number 4, which is great. 4 turns, 4 land drops. You definitely want to be able to hit land drops in this deck to be able to play as many enchantments as possible. So I'm going to be able to put down both Armor of Thorns here, and that turns my Boggle into a 12/12 creature. So here's the situation. Here's where I messed up, and this is why I want to point this out to you. So I'm going for the win. I know that it's going to be a race. It's very close, and I wanted to be able to win on this turn. So I'm swinging with my 12/12 Boggle, and I'm going to use the ability for Briar Shield to get that extra 2 that I need for the win. This is what's going through my head. I'll sacrifice the Briar Shield, I get the additional 2, which makes the Boggle 14/14, and I go for the win. However, I made a serious error in this because I forgot that the Briar Shield was actually enhancing the Ancestral Mask. You see, the Ancestral Mask makes the creature bigger for each enchantment on the field. So what I essentially did by sacrificing the Briar Shield, instead of getting the extra 2 for the win, I lost 2 because of the Ancestral Mask. Not going to be a big issue on this turn because I'm still going to hit for 12, which is what I was going to do originally, was swing for 12. But where it comes into play is on the turn afterwards, where here it's not going to matter because I have my opponent on the ropes and choking, don't mind me. I have my opponent on the ropes. I'm going to win it next turn anyway. He has no answers. However, if I was in a situation where I did not have my opponent on the ropes and I could not win it, then I might have been just screwing myself right there by sacrificing that. So something to keep in mind, if you're in a different state of the game, you didn't have these 2 Armor of Thorns, something like that, if, say, you only had the Briar Shield and the Ancestral Mask, it's very important to keep in mind the fact that by getting rid of the Briar Shield, you are hurting yourself. Instead of getting that extra 2 that you would get without the mask, you're going to end up being -2 instead. In the long run, it's even worse. So there you go. He's going to take the 12. Not going to have a play. He draws a card, hits me with a shock, and then hits me with a Shard Volley. So gets me down to 4. Very close game for him. I replay the Briar Shield to just find my Boggle back where it should have been, and swing for 12 and the win. So there you go, another real fast game, and hopefully you can take something from this. You understand what I'm trying to get at here with the Briar Shield interaction on the Ancestral Mask, and the fact that it's going to actually hurt you if you sacrifice that instead of what you think it's going to happen, and you get the +2/+2. So there you go. Check out the videos and article. Yep.